O free Ravelin Tramat Trosradi I Lad Glad yon oivim glad Tramo
Shatwyr. Y mil oedd tri naw, yma yng Nghasnewydd. We are gathered together to remember the men who fought and fell in the name of democracy in the Chartist Uprising of 1839 here in Newport. Today we will hear a selection of addresses concerning the history of the uprising, the Chartist movement and its aims, and how these aims resonate in today's world. We will hear perspectives from our elected representatives, mindful of the struggles for democracy that continue to this day. We remember those from across the world who have needed to uproot their lives and seek sanctuary here with us in Wales, and the welcome that we should give to them.
Yes, absolutely.
We open the proceedings. To open the proceedings, I'd like to invite the Very Reverend Ian Plaque, the Dean of Newport Cathedral, to give a word of welcome.
Welcome to the cathedral grounds, which in 1839 was the parish church for Newport, and we've never really quite tracked down exactly where the men who were shot were buried, but think it's somewhere over there, and I fear may even now be under the road, so it may have been moved. But they were buried in unmarked graves, secretly at night, and although it was actually done properly, but secretly. And last year when I welcomed you, it was my first year here, and I just wondered about what my predecessor made of all of this. Well, a few people were very kind and told me basically exactly what he probably thought about it, and it was not good. So it's quite a pleasure to stand here and be somebody who supports the movement of the Chartists, what they stood for, and actually how they can inspire us today, and maybe just undo a bit of that grumpiness from however many couple of hundred years ago it is, nearly 200.
On this night, the 4th of November 1839, all the respectable people living in the houses around this cathedral would have closed and shuttered their windows and locked their doors. They would have been waiting in fear and dread for the sound of the marchers they knew were advancing on Newport from the Black Domain, the wild iron and coal towns of the valleys to the north. They had heard the rumours about the unrest there, and the wild ideas of mob rule that were being preached on the hillsides to wild, uneducated and ungovernable people. And these wild men did march to Newport through the storm and the rain of the night of November the 4th, 1839. Hundreds and hundreds of them, armed, soaked to the skin, many drunk and all desperate. Their leaders had talked to them of justice and a better, fairer world where ordinary men would have the vote. They knew that a People's Charter setting out the 6 points to achieve this had been drawn up. They knew that Parliament had rejected that charter and punished their leaders. They knew that all the efforts made to achieve their ideals through peaceful, lawful means had failed. Now only violence was left. Down Stow Hill they marched, down to face the soldiers quartered in the Westgate Hotel, down to a violent struggle, to injury, and, for some of them, to death. We're gathered here this evening to remember those who died that night and were buried together in unmarked graves somewhere in this graveyard. We live in the world they dreamed of but never saw, in a country where everyone has the vote and can use it without intimidation or bribery. A world where members of Parliament are not chosen only from the rich and the well-connected. We live in that democracy of which they could only dream and struggle and die for. We honour them tonight and we remember them by name. But we honour them too whenever we cast our vote, whenever we urge others to use their votes. Our democratic rights were gained through struggle and suffering. Let us never forget or make light.
Bearing in mind, of course, that many of those who were here buried and who struggled and walked down Stow Hill wouldn't have understood a word of English. They would have known it as a language of their masters and sometimes of their oppressors as well. So, let us remember these men in the language that they would have spoken, most of them. Especially, yr un gair, the same words, slightly different language. Yn ar y noson hon, Tachwedd Bedwerydd 1839, fe fydd y pobl parchus y tai o gwmpas yn hyn wedi cael a chlorio a chloi ei ffenestri a'i drysau. Fe fydd yn aros mewn ofn a dychryn, a'n sŵn y dorf o derwysgwyr oedd yr wyddent yn dod lawr tuag at Gasnewydd o'r deyrnas ddi. Yr ardal, y trefi gwyllt na, y glo a'r haearn o'r cymoedd i'r gogledd. Taws yn sôn am yr anhrefn yno, oedd yn syniadau gwyllt am reolaeth y dorf oedd yn cael ei pregethu ar y bryniau i gynulleidfaoedd o bobl gwyllt, anllythrenol a reolaeth. A daeth y dynon Bristol lawr i Gasnewydd trwy Storom a Drycyn noson at Pedwerydd o Dachwedd, cannoedd ar gannoedd ohonynt, yn arfon, yn oer, yn lif at ei crôn, trawer yn feddwl a phob un ohonynt yn odffwyd. Gwyddent. Tradodd ei rhanweinwyr iddynt am gyfiawnder ac am fyd gwyllt, sef bydda dynion cyffredin ar hawl i bleidleisio. Gwyddant fod y Senedd wedi gwrthod y siartar hwnnw ac wedi cosbi ei harweinwyr. Gwyddant fod pob ymdrech i wirreddu i gobeithion trwy ddulliau heddychlon a chyfreithlon wedi methu. Dim ond trais oedd ar ôl iddynt nawr. Lawr Stow Hill y cerddant, lawr i wynebu'r milwyr yn aros amdanyn nhw yng ngwestir Westgate, lawr i ymladd gweidlyd, i glwyfau ac i'r rai ohonyn nhw i farwolaeth. Rydyn ni wedi cystru mae heno i gofio rhai i farw nos honno ac a gladdwyd gyda'i gilydd mewn beddau dienw rwle yn y fynwent hon. Ein byd ni heddiw yw'r byd y breuddwydion nhw amdano. Y byd na welson nhw. Gwlad lle mae pleidlais gan bob oedolyn a byd lle gellir pleidleisio heb ofn a heb lwgwr hoblwyedd. Byd lle mae rhan fwyaf o aelodau seneddol wedi ei dewis o blith y bobl cyffredin, nid o blith y llywoethol a'r breintiedig, rhan fwyaf. Rydyn ni'n byw mewn gwlad ddemocrataidd, y democratiaeth le o'n nhw breuddwydio amdani. Yn ymladd i'w hennill ac wedi marw drosti. Anrydeddwn nhw heno a chofio nhw wrth eu henwan. Ond fe hanrydeddwn nhw bob tro a bydden nhw'n bwrw yn pleidlais. Bob tro a bydden nhw'n annog rhywun eraill i bleidleisio. A phob tro i ni yn sefyll yn hyn. Trwy ymdrech a dioddefaint, enillo'n nhw ein hawliau ni. Na foed i ni fyth anghofio na bychanu.
was offered work, and who cast out with nothing and no hope. They creamed off the benefits of our ancestors in obtaining the right to vote. Universal suffrage would unlock the power they needed to change their world for the better. They dared to believe that this power was within their grasp. They put their demands in a charter containing 6 principles, starting with votes for all. They became known as the Chartists. Across the country, the Chartist movement spread like wildfire. Over 1 million people signed a petition asking Parliament to support the Charter. But Parliament rejected the petition outright. The Chartists knew the time had come for direct action. On November the 4th, 1839, thousands of workers cascaded down our valleys to take Newport and demand change. But in the Westgate Hotel, soldiers were lying hidden. At the height of protest, they fired at point-blank range, killing and maiming many. The Chartist leaders, John Frost, Zephaniah Williams, and William Jones, were tried and condemned to death. After public outcry, they were transported to Australia, banished from their homes and communities. The Newport Rising was crushed, but the movement clamoring for votes for all survived. Nearly 100 years later, in 1928, universal suffrage was finally achieved. And these momentous events are our history and our heritage.
Here I am at the Torchlight Procession of the Newport Rising Festival, 183rd anniversary of the Chartist Uprising that took place 183 years ago today, here in Newport at the Westgate Hotel. Currently in Belle Vue Park, and there's a large number of us with torches making our way to the Westgate Hotel.
Yay! Yes! We are the Chartists! I can smell wax.
100 years, 1,000 years, we're marching on the road. And going isn't easy yet, but we've got a heavy load. We have a heavy load. And here is Wonderbrass. Chartist Day 2022. This is where the uprising itself took place. Here in Newport.
Chwechant o flynyddoedd yn amser I hir i'n cwrs. Mae Trosnos o Gymru yn y flwyddyn 303 yn gadael yn genedl gyfan a heddiw elen i'r uniongol o hyd. Uniongol o hyd. Gweithio pawb a phobeth, gweithio pawb a phobeth, gweithio pawb a phobeth uniongol o hyd. Chwled y gwynt o'r dwyrain, rhied y storm o'r môr, holled y mellter o'i bren, a gweddwyd y doran yn cor.
All through the evening. So we've opened the doors. You're welcome to come in.
My hen loved in the giant, when he be glad by wrath and toddion, and woddion o free. I go a club went black Elwyn, trustworthy on last songs I glide. Glad, your noivim glad, tramo, in beer, half by, God, dear, and I bow.